Hi, my name is Denise Williams, and this is Financially Focused. Welcome to a program where we really help you to see how to build a strong financial table with 4 strong legs, which is income, asset, mindset, and protection, which comes from insurance and reducing debt. In this episode, we're narrowing in on the career aspect of the income leg of your financial table because we wanted to keep it strong. I don't want any wobbly tables. And to help us is Dr. Carolyn Hayles, Labor Market Specialist. Welcome, Dr. Hayles.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, a lot of us say we cannot be bothered with the 4 years of university and the long drawn out thing. And so the concept of micro credentials has become a recognized way of upskilling without a long time investment. So Dr. Hayles, talk to us about micro credentials.
All right. Well, micro credentials are very interesting.
Right.
Because like you said, they are actually small bits of learning.
Small bits.
Small
okay.
bits of learning.
All right.
And there are some important things to know about them. The important thing is that there are standards that are developed against which micro credentials ought to be developed. Okay? For example, if you are a tire repairman and you have a particular way, you've been doing tires for years, and you have a particular way that you want the apprentices in your shop to create tires or to mount tires or whatever they do with tires, then you document it. You document it in a simple process format that if that youngster, that apprentice, were to take that certificate, which you can award because it's product, it's within your small company, you have created, this is the way I do it, and I certify that you're doing it correctly. That information can be taken to a tertiary institution if later on you want to go on. That person who has that certification can take it to the tertiary institution and it will be awarded academic credit. Mm-hmm. In other words, those small bits of learning translate into, it can be as much as 3 credits. And can be accepted at a higher education. And you notice I use tertiary education and higher education interchangeably because they're actually the same. It just depends on the jurisdiction you're in. Can be accepted. Now, the beauty of the micro credentials, there are several things that are very interesting about it. In that if the company is open to working and see the benefit of it, they could actually work with an institution, a higher level institution, to create a micro credential that can take you all the way through to a full degree. You can get a full bachelor's degree, master's degree, and eventually a doctoral degree on micro credentials. It is part of what is known as the National Qualification Framework.
Right.
And those frameworks are used internationally in different continents and different parts of the world. They're acceptable and they're recognized one against the other. The other interesting thing about the micro-credential is that a company can offer product certification so that they know that the people that work within their companies are certified against their own standards. So they are improving their own delivery, their own product quality, the value of their company, and they're improving the value of their own employees. Those employees can take that certification somewhere else. So it's a win-win.
So why are micro-credentials, because you said it, I just want to say it again. Why are micro-credentials becoming so popular? Okay. Because you said win-win, so I want you to expand on that.
They're coming more popular now because the world is moving very quickly. And you don't have 4 years to sit in an institution to get a baccalaureate or 2 years if you're an associate's degree. People want learning now, competence now. So remember, they're short windows of learning. So they're short courses. So you can use the micro-credentials to upskill quickly. When you see that the environment in which you're operating is moving and that you need to acquire other skills, you can use micro-credentials as that filler to take you to the next spot. And you will be ready and can compete at that level with a micro-credential.
I like that. Expand that. You're talking about micro-credentials allowing professionals to stay competitive in their career. So I'm a realtor.
Yes.
Tell me, how does a micro-credential, how does that help me? Because all I need to do is sell houses. So tell me how that helps me to stay competitive.
But it's not just selling houses, because you would have to look at their financial aspects to selling it, their land, there's the legal aspects to selling the house, there is the location of the property, there are the assets that come with the property. So you can specialize in a particular area if you wish and get a micro-credential. If you notice that there are new areas evolving in terms of energy and energy efficiency and smart homes, you could go and do a micro-credential in smart homes and add that to your portfolio. But it's not just professionals, the micro-credentials are for anybody. They're short bursts of learning, but they come with a certificate either from the company itself or from an institution.
So can micro-credentials be stacked? I mean,
They're stackable.
How does that work? How do you stack them?
What it means is that, as I said, here in Jamaica, the University Council of Jamaica, the micro-credentials were developed, the standard was developed in such a way that each micro-credential can attract up to 3 credits.
Right.
So remember, if you're doing a full bachelor's degree, it's 120 credits.
Right.
If you take those stackable micro-credentials that you have earned over time,
right,
to a higher education institution, because you now want to go on the managerial track, they will be able to assess through prior learning. They will assess what you have done and determine how many credits they're going to exempt you from that 120.
Okay.
However, if you are in a company, and I don't think any company has done it yet, but the ones that are progressive should, if they work with institutions and create stackable micro-credentials within the company, using their product knowledge and their innovation, they will be able to create full degrees, a full baccalaureate degree or the master's, using the micro-credentials within the company.
Oh, wow. And then you're saving your employees money.
And you're not only saving them money, you are building loyalty.
Wow,
because
that's win-win.
It's win-win because they're part of the innovation that is being created within that company.
Amazing. All right. Now, what are the best in terms of micro-credentials for someone just entering the workforce?
Well, if you're just entering the workforce, maybe, I would assume that you're coming with some of those human-centric skills that we talked about in terms of the empathy, the decision-making, the critical thinking. If you don't have that in any of the courses that you did, or you left school and that really wasn't part of the curriculum because you left before in 5th form, for example, or grade 11, as they know it now, then maybe you should do some micro-credentials in those areas. Decision-making, problem-solving, make sure that you are fully understand the digital world. So you have micro-credentials in those areas, because those are the competencies for which you will be paid. Yeah, so that allows you to enter.
How does micro-credentials, though, if people are still traditional, they want to know you went to this school or that school, how can micro-credentials help a recent graduate stand out?
Well, like I just said, I may have graduated from whatever school. Because remember, it doesn't matter which school you attend, because they all have to go through the same process.
Right.
In that, in the case of the British system, there are ministries of education that prescribe the things that should go into the curriculum. Now, each high school can determine the subjects that go into the curriculum. Now, in North America, it might be at the federal level or at the state level that they determine the curricula that is used. So it is whatever is prescribed that you would follow, but you make sure that you have those necessary competencies. Remember what I told you, the AI said, digital literacy, human-centered literacy, and the industry-specific literacy. So you need micro-credentials.
Hold on, let's say it again. So you went into ChatGPT and you got this information to stay ahead in your career, You need competency in empathy and human-centric.
That's just examples of what I gave you. Yeah. Customer service.
And customer service being an example. Okay, huge. And then you need industry-specific.
Industry-specific.
Right, so if I'm a veterinary person.
What are the new techniques that I could use AI in to help me do my veterinary work?
And then the third one was?
And the third one was understand the digital world.
Oh, and its world itself. Okay, all right. What about mid-career professionals? You know, are there any institutions or any specific platforms that mid-career professionals should look at? Because, you know, we want it quick. Micro-credentials, quick.
Well, it depends on where you are. What track are you on? Are you on the technical and professional track?
Right.
Or are you on the managerial track? Or are you on the technical and professional and want to go to the managerial and then to C-suite? Those are the kinds of questions you need to ask yourself.
Hold on, you just give me three things. You're saying your career could take 3 paths. Yes. Being the technical person who knows how to do the thing.
And only want to stay there. I don't like people. I don't want to manage people and their confusion.
I can't deal with the emotions and I can't deal with the confusion. I just want to do the thing.
Yes. Or
I'm a manager of people. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's a career track in the same industry.
And then, and the same company.
Yeah.
And even within that, it's not all of the managers that can go to the C-suite, the executive level.
But that's the next one. So the executive level
that's a different set of
animal
of competencies.
I don't think many people know that you can have the same profession and take 3 different ways: technical, managerial, executive. So you're saying micro credentials can help you zero in on. So if my goal is to be an executive, I want to be at the top.
You want to C-suite.
My micro credentials need to lead me there.
But you can look at it from going across all levels, you know, because to be a very good executive, you need to understand how it works at the bottom.
So if I want to be the head of a tire company, I should know how to change tires.
You should know how to change the tires and know the composition of the tires and what happens if you put too much air or too little air and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay? Now, also remember too that at the executive level, as I said, not everybody is going to get there, but everybody aspires to go there. What has happened is that people don't understand that there's a professional technical level that attracts the same salary as those on the managerial track, you know. They're parallel. So if you really don't like people, and you've noticed that there's some people who are not suited to managing.
Because they don't know how to handle people.
No, they don't understand. They don't understand that management is a science. You don't just get up and manage people. You're trained to manage people. So because you're a good engineer does not mean that you're necessarily going to be able to manage
other engineers.
And managing other professionals is a skill. Because you don't give them a set of instructions, you guide them. Otherwise they will rail up. They resist. Okay? So management, that's what I'm telling you, management is a skill and you learn how to handle it. But what has happened is that people have been focused on the money. That is
only make money as an executive.
Exactly. And so everybody fights everybody else to get to the top, and some of them are not suited to be at the top.
Wow, that's mind-blowing to me. I'm going to be journaling on that tonight. Okay. And now what about, you know, high demand industries, tech, finance, healthcare? How does micro credentials help us to go and kind of make the shift there?
Well, in those tech areas, you have to be skilled at what you do. You have to know what it is you want to do, because remember, everybody is competing at the same level. So you should hone out a path that for which you are best suited and that you like. And so you can become highly competent in that area and sought after. Otherwise, you're just one of the pack. And so I can just pick whoever it is that's easier to get along with, and because they all have the same skill, and we move with that. So it's very important, again, to understand yourself and where you fit. In order to move.
Now, what about starting a consulting business or a side hustle? How can micro credentials help me? So I'm a doctor, but I really want to do a little thing with nails. Can that work?
Well, of course it can work. In that, but people might find it very odd. But it doesn't matter what people find odd. is what makes you comfortable and that you are within the law.
Right,
because
right.
remember,
Legally,
if you're a doctor,
I could do
you get the
nails.
license, yeah, because you have your medical license, but
Right.
you also I think you need a special license from the ministry, local government, or whatever,
to do
to
nails.
do nails
Right,
and stuff
right,
like that.
right, right.
And you also need to be trained by the cosmetology and aesthetics
That's
people
right.
on
So
how
that
to
would be a
handle it.
micro-credential?
So that would be a micro-credential.
Right,
But
right.
because you have the medical knowledge,
Yes.
you probably will grasp that very quickly.
Ah. Yeah, and I probably
Yeah.
could specialize in healthy nails.
But remember too that not every doctor really would be interested in that, nor not every doctor would have specialized in dermatology or understanding skin or something. They understand the general issues.
Right.
But they didn't drill down in that particular area. So they
Right.
might be learning something new and even create innovation
Yes.
based on their past learning and the new learning.
Right.
Remember now that it was the doctor who created, Dr. Rampasad, who created the innovation for teaching the younger doctors how to take, I think it was, is it blood? No, it's the heart, to look at the heart. He was good at trade in school. And he just said, there must be an easier way to do this. And
Right.
he and his friend who were engineers, they put it around until they came up with the thing with the pig's heart.
Okay.
And from there, he created an innovation.
Wow. But what about industries where micro-credentials probably wouldn't work? It's like maybe journalism. I don't know. What?
Of course it would work because
But is there any industry where it doesn't work?
I don't see that there could be an industry where it doesn't work because there is always something new. There's a new aspect to every industry. Otherwise, it's going to stagnate, and AI can do it.
Right.
Right? So, because remember, I even said customer service.
Right.
Customer service is the one foil that for AI.
Yes.
Because it's the people, it's the way you deliver that service, combining
Yeah.
the AI and your own personal traits
Right.
to create an experience for the customer.
Okay. What about salary increases and job promotions? So I come to my employer and said, sit here, I have all these micro-credentials, I'm ready. Pay me more.
That's not how it works.
Okay, how does
Because
it
remember,
work?
I said, first of all, remember they have a budget.
Yeah.
So it depends on when you approach them in
Yes.
the budget cycle. If you
Ah.
approached him mid-cycle, there's very little he can do. He may be able to give you an increment or two if what you got your micro-credential in is relevant to the job. Okay? Assuming that it is, and he's mid-cycle, he may say, well, I'll see if we have any space. But he also has to be mindful not to give you an increase that would create an anomaly for the other people in the same band in which you work. So if you come to him closer to the end of the cycle, where he can factor that in when he's doing the analysis in terms of what the next year's budget will look like, and to put in some of the targets that would include not just you, because he can't just single you out. It has to be everybody that works in that particular category of staff. He would then be able to do some maneuvering. So it depends on when you approach them.
Okay. Now, what about persons who's been out of work, whether because of children or some other reason? How would micro-credentials help someone demonstrate that they're sort of a good candidate because they've been out of work for a while?
Remember, that's exactly what the micro-credentials are for. They're short bursts of learning.
Right.
The fact that you are out doesn't mean that you have not acquired something new that you can use now.
Right.
And remember, one of the things I talked about not being paid, staying home with children is also one of the things that they count as non-paid work.
Right.
Because there's a whole lot that goes into managing children.
Right.
So you can demonstrate those competencies as well. But with the micro-credential, it's the new learning that they're certifying. What have you learned that's new that you're bringing to the table? It's not your past learning.
Okay, so it's new.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And over 50?
Same
as being out of it.
It doesn't matter. It's
new
acquisition
learning.
of the competence.
New learning,
Yes,
new learning, new learning.
Acquisition of the
Okay.
competence.
All right. So in terms of the investment, should I wait for my employer or wait for something free from the government, or tell me about the investment that I need to make?
All right. There are lots of free stuff out there.
Yeah.
There are lots of things on Coursera, Udemy, and a whole lot of them that for free that you can actually audit the course. Or if you want to pay, you can pay and get the certification. So there's free stuff out there. Okay. But you need to know what your next step would be. Right, so you would know if I want to change careers, or if I know I'm coming up to retirement and I want to do something else, I don't just want to sit home. Then it's worth your while investing. First of all, investing the time to find out if there's any free stuff out there that the government is giving. The governments, most of them give a lot of free stuff to try and develop human capital.
Right.
And then the second thing is, how much money can I afford? Can I audit, see if I like that area, and then pay them to certify in that particular area? But it's where you are.
Yes.
You have to decide.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Micro credentials, short bursts of new learning as a way to keep relevant and strengthen the track you're on. Because, you know, one of the big things for me as a takeaway from Dr. Hale, is that you're on 3 tracks, whether you know it or not. You're the technical person who actually gets things done, and that's great if you don't like people. You are the manager who helps other people get things done, so you're developing other people. Or you're the executive that has a sort of global view of how the entire thing should play out, and therefore micro credentials can help you to stay fresh and current in either any of the 3 tracks. And also remember, one of the takeaways in this AI world for your career is that empathy and human skills are something AI cannot do. It just cannot care the way another person can care. Then learning about AI, so doesn't make sense, you hide and run and pretend it don't exist. And then finally, what you need to learn about AI in your industry. And thank you so much, Dr. Hale, for that jam-packed learning. Wow. My name is Denise Williams, and this is Financially Focused. I would encourage you to visit our website, www.financiallyfocusedmedia.com. We have a free 30-day financial independence course there for you, and I will see you in the next conversation.